Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on this webinar on how to productively work from home. Hopefully the time that we spend together will be productive for you. I know it will be enjoyable for me. So bear with me a second. I'm going to start sharing my screen and we can get going. Okay. I am Cindy Jobs. I am an ADHD coach, and I would like to just spend some time working with you on giving you some tips on how to productively work from home, because right now we can all use them, can't we? All right, the things that we're going to cover today: how to get going on our productivity. Get up, get dressed, get going, because there's some nuances to this new environment where we're working from home. New roles, I refer to them as structured flexibility, not only around our time, but around our environments. So I call it structured flexibility. How to reduce distractions, gamify, and reward yourself when you're needing to work from home. It's really important that we kind of change how we operate and how we operate with the people that we might be sharing our homes with right now. Creating to-do lists and why that is still important, how we can track our time, and then if we have extra time, because I think most of us have a little bit of extra time right now, what are we going to do with it? So what do you want to say you did by the end of this work from home stage? All right, before we get going, I know a lot of you have rushed in here from other commitments, so let's just take a few seconds to do some deep breaths together, shall we? All right, I'm going to close my eyes and breathe in and out deeply 3 times. So I encourage you to breathe along with me. Okay, let's get rolling. The first thing we're going to talk about is how to start your day with a productivity mindset. I know it's a little bit tempting sometimes to just get up, throw on our bathrobe or some sweats, and maybe we're getting up a little bit later than we used to, but I know it's tempting to kind of start our workday in a bit more casual mode. And I'm going to encourage you to use the same startup mechanisms now that you did when you were actually going to the office. So if that meant you got up at 6:30, took a shower, had some breakfast, got dressed, and headed out the door, do that, except for the heading out the door phase. So if you can get your mindset into a work mindset and not a I'm casually kind of hanging out at the house mindset, that will really, really help you. Your brain will click into, oh, I'm up, I'm showered, I'm dressed, I have my breakfast, I'm ready to rock and roll. That will really help jumpstart your productivity. Then the next thing I want to talk about is this new rules around structured flexibility. This is a representation of what my week looked like before we all had our stay-at-home, stay safe orders. So it was jam-packed with appointments. I was sometimes running out to do things. All of that has changed, although I still have a lot of appointments that I need to go through, and I still have a lot of clients that I'm seeing via Zoom. My days have become a little bit less structured, but I still want to be able to have some productivity in there. So I'm not as strapped to time as I used to be, but I am still aware of how I want to be able to account for my time. So this is what my day timer used to look like. This is what I'm using now. You can see that I've just created a piece of paper. It has, here are my intentions for the day, here are my completions for the day. So I have a series of things that I want to try to do outside of my regular client appointments. I still get up and exercise and meditate. So every day I can move those stickies from the intention column to the completion column. Every day I want to try to read for 30 minutes. I can move that from one column to the next. One of the things that I really don't like to do is clean out my emails. I can say I'm going to work on my emails, and that's an intention. I can move it to the completion column. So there are any number of things that I want to make sure that I do on any given day, or maybe every few days. And I put those in the intention column, and when I actually do them, I move them to the completion column. That gives me some satisfaction that I knew that I fulfilled the intentions to myself. So it's kind of structured, but it allows for a significant amount of flexibility, especially around being flexible around other people in the house or the weather. So if I want to go outside and I know it's going to rain in the afternoon, I'm going to try to get that done in the morning. If I need to schedule my day around Zoom calls, or around, you may have to schedule them around your kids' Zoom calls with school or your kids' schooling. It's less structured, but it still shows intention, and that can be structure unto itself. So this is kind of how I track my time now. The other place that we have to give ourselves some grace around flexibility is our office environment. This may be what your office environment looked like before. This might be what your office environment looks like now. You may have little kiddos sitting on your lap trying to help you do your work. So I encourage people to kind of create some zones of productivity. So if there are things that you can only do on your desktop, by all means, go in your office, do them on your desktop. If there are things that you can do somewhere else, maybe if you're listening to a webinar, you can do that on the couch. If you need to do some reading, maybe you want to do that at the dining room table. In our former office environment lives, we had the ability to get up and move around a little bit because we'd go to the printer, we would go get a cup of coffee, we would go to lunch with some colleagues. We don't have that same ability to kind of diversify our working environment. So what I encourage you to do is diversify your working environment within your house. So again, if there are things that you absolutely have to do at your desk, do them there. If there are things you can do somewhere else, go somewhere else to do them. Give yourself a bit of an environmental change, which will jumpstart your brain a little bit too. But I don't encourage anybody trying to do work from their bedroom. That does two things. Number one, you're probably less productive because you're not sitting up straight. You're trying to balance your laptop on your lap. Also, your brain is trained to do sleep in your bedroom. And when we start mixing those environments, all of a sudden, when you try to go to bed, your brain's going to be maybe not as wound down as you want it to be. So you'll want to be able to say, I sleep in the bedroom, I work somewhere else. So that's the only caveat I will suggest around working environments is don't try to work from your bedroom. The other thing that's really important, especially in this time where we are trying to work and our houses are full of other people and some distractions, limiting those distractions is really important to productivity. We'll also talk about how to gamify your work and how to give yourself some rewards, because our reward structure is much different when we are in our houses than if we are in an office environment. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is setting and communicating boundaries with your housemates. And I stole this, and steal it, he told me I could use it, this kind of analogy to a stoplight from Brendan Mahan from ADHD Essentials. In his house, they use red cups, yellow cups, and green cups to communicate what level of interruption is appropriate. So if Brendan has a green cup on his desk, that signifies that, yeah, I'm working on some stuff. It's okay to interrupt me, no big deal. If he has a yellow cup on his desk, it's like, it's okay to interrupt me, but it might need to be pretty important. If the red cup is on his desk, I'm really trying to concentrate, or I'm writing an article, I'm doing a podcast. If there's a red cup signifying what he's doing in his office, that's a please don't interrupt unless it's a true emergency. And hey, Dad, can you make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Isn't a true emergency. That would follow in the green or yellow category. So I thought that was brilliant because it's very clear. It's a nice visual representation and everybody understands it. So anyway, I thought that was great. The other thing that limiting distractions is to limit your task switching. By now, we all should know that we cannot multitask. Our brains literally cannot multitask. So switch tasking is what we end up doing. So we're working on a spreadsheet, we hear the notification that we have an email, so we go over there and check that, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, I have 7 emails, and so now I'm all of a sudden doing my emails as opposed to doing the spreadsheet I was supposed to be working on. So setting yourself up for success by not switch tasking is really, really important. So when you're working on something, work on that until your time's up or until you're done or whatever your benchmark is. Work on that. Don't try to diversify your attention. To that point, turn off your notifications. If you have your notifications on and your email notification goes on, even though you don't look at it, your brain's probably sitting there going, I wonder what that is. I wonder if that's important. I wonder if I should go look at that. I wonder if that's the reply to the email that I sent this morning. So even though you haven't physically task switched, your brain is trying to go back and forth figuring out what the priority is. So turn your notifications off whenever possible. The other thing that I like to suggest people do to gamify their work is to race the clock. So if you have something that you need to do, just say, I'm going to spend 30 minutes doing this. One of the things I mentioned earlier I don't like to do is I don't like to clean out my emails, as far as deleting them and all that kind of stuff, filing them into electronic folders, that type of thing. I just don't like to do it. So if I tell myself I am only going to make myself do this for 30 minutes, I'm going to get as many as I can get done in 30 minutes. That helps gamify the process for me. I'll actually do it then, knowing I only have to do it for 30 minutes. Then I will give myself a reward. It might be sitting out on the porch. It might be sitting on the couch with the dogs. It might be some chocolate. Who knows? But I go ahead and offer myself a reward for having completed tasks that might not be on the top of my priority list. So think about how you can gamify, race the clock, whatever it may be, gamify your work, and how can you reward yourself for a job well done. In this time, even though we're in a little bit maybe a more flexible mode, it's still important to create to-do lists. We still want to have a roadmap of what we need to do for the day. Now, it might be what I need to do this morning. It might be what I need to do for the day. It might be what I need to do for the week or the month or whatever it is. But creating a to-do list creates the opportunity for you to just knock things off. If we don't have a to-do list, our brain tries to go out and find something to do, and that might not be the most productive thing to do. It might just be the thing that pops into your head. So creating a to-do list so you have a roadmap of how to spend your time is really important. The other thing that's really important is time tracking. I know it takes me an hour and a half to write a blog post. So if writing a blog post is what I need to do on Monday, I know that I need to block out an hour and a half. If I get into a writing mode, it's going to take that much time to go out and find the pictures, to create the blog post, all that kind of stuff. So I know that if writing a blog post is on my to-do list for the day, I need to carve out 90 minutes of time to do that. There are any number of things that we all do repetitively. Take out the garbage, unload the dishwasher, whatever it might be, that we do repetitively that would be really, really, really beneficial for you to know exactly how long those things take. That way, when you are planning them into your day, you're not running yourself short on time. So I encourage everybody to track the things that they do on a regular basis, just to give yourself, again, a roadmap of what can be done in a day. I particularly like the time timer app. I also have a desktop version that is actually a physical piece of hardware that sits on my desk. But this timer app allows you to be able to set time in various ways. You can set it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 90 minutes, whatever. When I was doing master classes, they were 90 minutes long. I would set my timer up for 90 minutes so I could physically watch that red shrink down and give myself an idea as to how much time I had left in the presentation. So I encourage you to use whatever time tracking device that you have available to you, but I particularly really care for the time timer, so give it a shot. The other thing is we all have a little bit of extra time, even if it's just time that we're not spending commuting, right? We have a little bit of extra time. So figure out what you want to do with that time. I thought this was hilarious because I've heard so many people say, if I only had time to deep clean my house, I would do it. If I only had time to clean out my closets, I would do it. If I only had time to XXXXX. Well, now we might have time to do those things. Sometimes it's not a matter of time. Sometimes it's just a matter of that you don't want to. But at the end of this time, when we are kind of all staying at home and staying safe, what do you want to say that you did with that extra time? I have started the Yale University's class on the science of well-being. They're offering it for free. It's, you know, something that is connects with me. The science of well-being connects with me. Again, it's free. It takes an hour a week. At the end of this time together, or when we're at home, I should say, I will be able to say, I did that class. That was one thing that I did that was over and above what I had the ability to do when I was working differently. So what do you want to say that you have done by the end of this stay at home, stay safe time period? I heard that Rosetta Stone is experiencing a huge increase because people are saying, now's the time to learn a new language. So what is it that you want to say that you have done at the end of this time period when we all had a little bit extra time to work with? So that's the end of the webinar. Thanks for hanging with me. I really appreciate all of you. Couple of things. If anybody needs some one-on-one thought processes around how to work productively, I do offer complimentary 30-minute consultations, or you can email me. We can set up a time, whatever you want to do to be able to help you be a little bit more productive during this special time. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. It's been a pleasure working with all of you today. Take care. Have a wonderful time.